welcome to the show. Our topic today on Leeza, my husband wears my clothes.
He's sensitive, he's open, he cares about my needs. The reason he does is because he's a cross-dresser.
I have nothing against these people or anything else, but I would be stunned. It would just totally blow me away, and I would have a real hard time dealing with it.
I have a 7-year-old daughter and an 18-month-old boy.
Do they know that Dad wears women's clothes?
They definitely do not know.
I wanted to commit suicide. I wanted to die.
It shouldn't be this painful for them, and we, as a society, have made it impossible. What is the problem here?
How would you react if your husband or your boyfriend came home and announced to you that he was cross-dressing, that maybe he was wearing your heels or your dress? How would you feel about it? Yeah?
I would be shocked. I would be shocked. I wouldn't know what to do. I would think that that's a serious problem. I'd have a problem with it, and I would think that we would need some serious therapy.
Okay. Any other points of view here? Yeah, all the way down here. Excuse me.
I think I'd want to know, why didn't you tell me this before? You know, there's something you didn't tell me, or, you know.
It is a secret that a lot of people keep in. I mean, you're going to meet people who confessed to their wives that they've been cross-dressing for years, enjoy wearing women's undergarments underneath their suits. There are a lot of people, businessmen that I bet you work with, who are doing this right now, and it's just a little well-kept secret. I want you to meet Colleen and Marie. Both of these ladies are married. Welcome. But it wasn't until after their marriages, like you said, after their marriages, that they learned that their husbands were cross-dressers. So, ladies, why don't you go ahead then and introduce us to your husbands?
My name's Colleen. My husband and I have been married for 6 years. He's the love of my life. We're closer than ever. And here's my husband, Heather.
Good to have you here.
Nice to meet
Okay, Marie, who's your husband?
Well, I'd like to introduce my husband of 17 years, Shirley.
Been married 17 years. Shirley, come on out. Hi. About 8 feet tall. This for those of you who are measuring at home. How tall are you? 6'4". Have a seat and welcome to the show. Thank you all. I think, if I'm gauging by this audience, the first reaction is how you're obviously in love with these men and you're quite proud of them. How do you feel sitting next to them with their pumps and their nylons and the dresses?
I think my husband looks terrific.
Yeah.
Marie?
I feel great. He has come a long way home. Yes, 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 yes.
Does this make you nervous at all?
Oh, being on national television? Yes.
Yeah. Let's get to, well, don't be, because, you know, the show's about you today. We want to hear your story, so we're just going to, we're all here just to learn. What was the reaction, Colleen, when you first found out, and how did Heather tell you?
Well, actually, I had an inkling 2 months before he actually told me. He came up with a, quote, costume idea for Halloween. He would go as a woman, I would go as a man. And we went, you know, the whole thing. I had a real hair and mustache and everything, though I couldn't pass in a coal mine. And we got him a full-length gown, and we were going to a costume party. And we were sitting in the car, and he said, well, wait a minute, let me check my lipstick. And he was looking in the mirror, and I saw this look of utter fulfillment on his face. I'm not kidding. I was like, whoa, does he want to do this? I mean, what, you know, I knew it was more than a costume to him.
Did you confront him on it?
Well, I knew that we never had any secrets, and if this was going to be a part of his life, that he would eventually tell me. And then I forgot about it until New Year's Eve, 1991. My husband, for 2 weeks, had been real irritable. I knew he was working up to tell me something. I didn't know what it was. I'd forgotten all about Halloween. And he said, well, I really need to talk to you about something that's going on in my life, and I don't know how to tell you. And all of a sudden, I had this flashback, and I saw clear as day, him looking in the mirror, fixing his makeup.
And doing a good job.
And doing a good job. And I looked at him and I said, you want to be a cross-dresser, don't you? And he was shocked. He was like, actually, I've been one my whole life, I believe.
Okay, now let me ask you, Heather, was that a moment of saying, finally, I get to release this to the woman I love, or what was that moment like?
Oh, yeah, it was definitely the biggest burden I've ever, gotten off my chest in my whole life, so to speak. It's just the fact that I had planned to tell her the night that she said this, it blew my mind that she actually discovered it before I had the chance to tell her.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself was just mind-blowing.
Marie, were you shocked?
Actually, no, I was, well, yes and no. I had been working as a nurse in an emergency room for years and years. And we were in bed one night, and I just found out I was 2 months pregnant. And he said, I have to tell you this. And I'm thinking, this is the worst thing. It's going to be the worst, because he's very quiet. And we hadn't been married that long, and I thought, this is it. And he says, I cross-dressed, and I went, that's it? That is it? And I'm going, okay.
Not a big deal to you?
Not a problem. Not a problem. Thank
now,
God. That was.
First of all, I think this is great that you all, are so well adjusted and understand and accept each other so well. But yeah, I do, because that's a personal thing, and whatever works in their relationship is fine with me. But I just think that many wives would have a problem. Am I wrong? I mean, oh, excuse me, there are hands up back here. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to know, like, how old you were when you wanted to decide to actually do this.
Oh, I was around 12, 13.
So you've been keeping this secret for a long time?
Oh, yeah.
And what, did you dress up in your mom's clothes?
Yeah, that's how I discovered it. I was in her closet for some reason, and all of a sudden I just decided to put on her clothes. It just came over me. I never thought of it before, and I liked the feeling. And I just continued doing it.
And did she ever confront you?
Well, I was about 12 then, and when I was 15, she caught me fully dressed in her wedding dress. She had gone out for the evening and then returned home unexpectedly, and I was totally made up, and she just ordered me out of the clothes and said I should be ashamed of myself, and boys don't dress like girls, and the whole 9 yards. And from that moment on, that's when the guilt factor started creeping into it, because before that, I had fun.
Wow, you went for broke, full tilt with the wedding dress. That was brave.
Yeah.
That was brave.
I just wanted to know, do you dress this way only at home, or do you dress this way out in public or to work?
We go shopping, we go out to lunch, out to dinner, to movies. We've even gone on a plane. I mean, we do everything.
And do people ever snicker, or do they ever, I mean, first of all, the guys look great. Do people ever say, particularly in Shirley's case, because you are so tall, do people ever, clock you and say, wait a minute?
Yes, it happens more often than we find comfortable, but it's something that we have to do. It fulfills him, it makes him happy, it enhances our life. It is a wonderful experience, and he is a good man, and I'm proud to be seen with him. Yes, exactly.
I publish a magazine for the cross-dressing community called Crosstalk, and this subject does come up over and over again. It's probably one of the biggest concerns a heterosexual cross-dresser has.
What subject? You mean how the wife will...
How a wife will react. It's a tremendous concern, and I hear it from the cross-dresser's point of view as the magazine's publisher all the time. I'd like to hear from Colleen and Shirley how they felt bottling it up inside and how they felt finally being able to release it and to have the acceptance they're having from their wives.
Well, I just thought that getting it out would help with education and getting it across to people, basically.
Well, when my husband told me, when he realized that this was not going to go away, that this had to be part of his life, and he needed to share this with me, he went and educated himself on the subject. And he had all sorts of brochures. He had wives' newsletters for me to read when he told me. And I think a lot of that factors into how the wives accept.
Okay, well, let me put a pin right there when you say the wives accepting. Are there wives in the audience that can give me a point of view on this? Wives who want to share how they think they would feel? You guys scared? Oh, sorry, up here. Okay, are you married? Okay.
I have nothing against these people or anything else, but I would be stunned. It would just totally blow me away, and I would have a real hard time dealing with it, I think.
You think it would be such a problem that you'd leave the marriage?
I don't know. I've put up with a lot of stuff, so I don't know if this is something I could just work through. But it would definitely take me aback, and it would be something to work through.
I think that's probably fair, and you women can understand.
There again, I think it's something that it takes a lot of love and compassion and understanding. When someone comes out of the closet and says, I'm a cross-dresser, this is an issue that affects the entire family, not just you and your spouse.
Exactly
but
right.
all the people that you love and care about. And so we have made it a point to integrate this into the whole family.
And this is part of their family. This is Marie and Shirley's daughter. This is Leanne. Welcome, Leanne. When we come back, I want to talk to Leanne and see how you feel about your dad cross-dressing in women's clothes. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back, and also hear how this man's cross-dressing led him down a path that was so painful and so destructive that he actually thought about taking his own life. Our topic today, My Husband Wears My Clothes, cross-dressers and their wives. Hope you'll join us for today's Leeza. How would you react if your husband confessed to you that he enjoyed wearing women's clothes? Colleen and Marie decided to stand by their husbands after learning that they were cross-dressers. In fact, Colleen and Heather say that cross-dressing has actually improved their marriage. Better than ever because of it?
Yes. I felt that when my husband told me, and it was such a big deal for him, that he loved me unconditionally, to share such a deep personal fact about himself, and it actually brought us closer together. Your question?
My question is this. Do they dress this way in the bedroom, and are you aroused or excited by this dress, the women, to the husbands?
That's a very interesting question, because the way they dress has nothing to do with sex.
Yeah.
It has nothing at all to do with sex. This is just who they are when they're dressed.
I mean, we're naked just like everybody else.
But the question is, you know, do you wear women's lingerie to bed, and do you wear it when you're making love to your wives?
I don't.
No. It's a rare occasion.
That's an individual thing. Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to know if you cross-dress in public, and if so, what do you do about restroom facilities?
I use the ladies' room wherever I go in public dressed like this. It would create quite a ruckus using a men's room dressed like this.
Oh, yes, and likewise.
What?
But you make a special point of avoiding large crowds, use single occupancy restrooms.
Dress like that.
Yeah.
Not that difficult to
I
avoid.
won't go to the gents dressed in the ladies' clothing.
So, you offended by it?
Well, not by that, but I'm saying I've gone to the men's room because the men's room line are always shorter. But
Yes. I want to know if when you go out with your husbands, do you hold their hands?
Oh, I think it just depends on where we're at. But ordinarily, for me, it's not a problem, because this is still my husband. Whether he's Shirley or my husband, he's still my husband. The love and the affection is still there.
Are you sexually turned off by him when he's dressed as a woman?
For me, this has nothing to do with sex. This is not a sex thing. It's not. No. The answer would be no. No.
See, because I don't know about you, I think that, for me, that would be a deal breaker. I mean, you know, just in terms of sexual relatability. Leanne, tell me how you found out that your dad was wearing women's clothes, and what does this do to your family?
When I first found out, actually my younger sister peeked under the door, and I happened to be home, and she told me to come look underneath the door, and I did, and there he was in one of my mom's nightgowns and her lingerie, you know, and I immediately told Marianne to go into her bedroom and shut the door. But then so I knew and my sister knew, but this didn't come out until maybe, I would say, maybe 2 years ago where...
You didn't tell anybody you knew?
No.
Secret?
Mm-hmm.
Did it change the way you felt about your dad?
Yeah, it was like the big white elephant in the living room, you know, where everybody kind of walks around it, and we all were very careful about what we said. Yeah, it was a big secret. So when it did come out, oh, it was like the biggest relief. I mean, he's the greatest dad in the whole world, and I couldn't ask for a better dad.
There you go. The real deal is, and again, I gotta say, good for you guys, because that's your family dynamic, and it's wonderful that your children are accepting and that everybody is up to speed with this thing. But not all wives and not all families take it so well. When we come back, you're gonna meet this man, who I think has a real tragic story. His wife kicked him out of the house, filed for divorce when she found out that he was a cross-dresser. And this man's wife says his cross-dressing, she says, you know what, it's an addiction, it's like an alcoholic. He is desperate to find what he calls a cure for this thing before he loses his family. Their stories are next, so stay close. Welcome back. Our topic today, men who are married who like to cross-dress. And we've heard the stories of our first guests who are very accepting of it. Their families are going along with great harmony. Our next guest, I think, represent the point of view that most of us would have and the problems that I believe would surface in a relationship like this, where the husband wants to wear women's clothes. This is Lauren and Sherry. And unlike Heather and Shirley, their wives have not been so understanding about their cross-dressing. Lauren's wife left him because of his cross-dressing. And Sherry's marriage could very well end up if you don't stop. Is that right?
That's correct. It's a possibility.
So your wife has just said, I don't get it, or what?
That's basically what she said. I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't want to deal with it. This is your problem, not mine, so do something.
And what's your response?
We've talked about it. I've gone through 4 psychiatrists and tried a bunch of different things to try and get a handle on it. I've tried looking at it as an OCD and tried the drugs that they did for that, the obsessive compulsive disorders. And those have not seemed to work, so...
So you want to stop. You want to, quote, be fixed, find a cure.
Sure.
Okay, explain this to me. If you love this woman, and you do, and she says, I can't handle this, it's an addiction, get over it. If you were a cocaine addict or an alcoholic, people get over that. People, you know, it's hard, and they get to the other side of it if the marriage is on the line. Is this something that you can just stop doing it if you're going to lose your wife?
We haven't gotten to that yet. All I can say is that I would really give it a try. If it was this is it, if you do it one more time, I'm out of the picture, well, then I think I would probably stop indefinitely.
Boy, I bet she's not going to be too happy that you're doing this.
She is not.
Yeah. Lauren, is that naive to just think, oh, you can just stop?
I don't know.
Have you tried to stop?
Like I think most cross-dressers over the years, yes, I've tried to stop. I've gone through the cycle pattern of purging, you know, acquiring clothing, wearing them, beginning to feel very negative about myself, ashamed of myself, and throwing them away and promising that I would never do it again. And the feelings come back, and go through that cycle over and over and over until you finally get to a point in your life that you become so sick of the cycle, and you need to, at least I needed to find out who I am and what's going on inside of me and get some balance in my life.
How difficult was it for you when your wife left? I mean, it was over this issue?
Cross-dressing, a good percentage, yes. I would say probably 80% of it. There were a few other issues. There usually isn't any divorce. There's more than one thing. But I think the cross-dressing had the majority of the problems. How it affected me? I wanted to commit suicide. I wanted to die. I mean, this woman that I met was, I was in love with her like nobody I've ever been in love with. I mean, she was like a soulmate to me. And she was my best friend, and I miss her tremendously. But she had a very difficult time dealing with the cross-dressing. She attempted over the years of our 5.5 years of our marriage to try to understand it and get it into some perspective. But for her, I think image was very important, and I believe there was some shame, some embarrassment and shame to it, and she couldn't get the perspective.
What did she say to you about it?
She just said she couldn't really understand it. She tried very hard to understand it, but she felt like maybe it's something that I could do, but leave her out of it. She asked not to be included into it in any way if possible.
It seems like you still love and care about this woman very much.
Oh, very, very, very much. I love her.
Enough to stop cross-dressing, and is there a chance that she would come back?
No, she won't come back, but I would have to try, yeah. I mean, I love her that much. I would try. It would probably be a mistake because the dual-genderedness inside of me is a part of who I am. But I believe that sometimes in life you get to a point where sometimes you have to make a very tough decision, a very hard decision. And the love I had for this woman was I would try to give it up. That doesn't mean that I'm not a cross-dresser. I'd always be a cross-dresser in my heart and soul.
It's not an addiction. I believe they're born this way, and you can't compare it to alcoholism or anything like that because, I mean, this is part of who they are. This is part of the reason why, when the wives really understand it, they come to the conclusion, hey, wait a minute. These are some of the personality traits I really loved in my husband to begin with. He's sensitive, he's open, he cares about my needs. The reason he does is because he's a cross-dresser, and a lot of women don't get that. But I'm telling you, he's born this way. I believe that.
Tell me what you're responding to here. What's...
My heart just goes out to him because I understand there's a tremendous amount of pain and pressure that they go through, and
yes,
it's so heart-wrenching and heartbreaking because they're just ordinary people, just like everyone here. So it shouldn't be this painful for them, and we as a society have made it impossible. What is the problem here? They're hard-working, everyday people.
Here's a wife who loves her husband very much, who's saying, look, this is why they're good husbands, this is why they're sensitive, why they're compassionate. What's the problem we're having with it? Yes.
She says, what is the problem here? There is a big problem here. We don't understand. I don't find this normal. I don't find this... I mean,
it's just clothes. A normal man.
It's just clothes.
He goes to work every day.
And you're trying to make us children. You don't understand why. This is so unordinary. This is not normal.
He's a good father. He's a good worker.
Can I try to explain?
You need to make us understand because we do not understand.
Okay. I have to say she's right. I mean, that's why we're doing the show. We're confused by it. There are roles in society which most of us adhere to and accept and operate within.
We want to try and help educate people out there that are going to find out about their husbands, or try to encourage people to tell their wives or girlfriends before they're married because of this, because there's so many societal misconceptions. This is not about sex. This has nothing to do with sex. This is just clothes. He just feels like he feels more complete this way to outwardly show more of his feminine side. He has masculine and feminine just like I do, just like everyone does.
There are a lot of theories, I should say, as to why this happens and why it supposedly is not an addiction that's so easy to just stop. Let's get into that when we come back. And hang on to your questions. I will definitely try to get to them. I want you to meet the author of a book called Cross-Dressers and Those Who Share Their Lives. When we come back, we're going to meet this woman who has interviewed thousands of cross-dressers, and we'll try to explain why she believes their desire to cross-dress starts before they were born. We'll get into it right after this.
I spend 3 hours putting on my face before I dare go outside. Plucking and waxing. And even then, someone always notices. I can see by the look in their eyes. The disgust. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am disgusting.
Scene from ER. Did you guys see this episode of ER? Where you hear this person's pain over cross-dressing and saying that maybe it is disgusting. Is there someone here, and I want to encourage you, don't be afraid. These people, you know, this is a mysterious topic, and I think a lot of us fundamentally just don't get it. But our guests today understand that, and that's why they're here. So don't be afraid. Is there someone here who finds it disgusting? Who finds that this is, you know, just something that's unacceptable in some way? What's your question?
I just want to make a comment that I find this really disgusting, and I don't know, I would never be able to handle it. So.
What upsets you about it?
I don't know, it doesn't seem normal. Okay. It's just abnormal. I don't know.
Yeah, what's your comment, please?
Well, I know that if my dad were doing it, I would be really embarrassed to go out in public with him and just like be able to, I would think very differently about him, even though it isn't necessarily.
Shirley, is Leanne embarrassed by you? She said no.
No. I've gone out shopping with my children, and they're not embarrassed. If you're embarrassed, that's your problem.
We have a 17-year-old daughter, too.
I want to get these people to stand up. This couple here, would you two stand? They have 5 daughters. They have been married for 25 years. And now, I can honestly say, which one of you is the cross-dresser?
Right here.
Okay.
Right here.
What's your name?
My name is Carol.
And?
Norma.
All right. You have 5 daughters at home. Now, did they know about your cross-dressing for the whole time?
They were introduced as they got older, and they're now married, and they're
Look at these wedding pictures, audience. How great is this? Carol, this is you in the dress?
Uh-huh. Oh, yes. Uh-huh. Made me feel very happy. Emotionally, it's very wonderful, frankly.
And your daughters, you don't think suffered any kind of adjustment problems because of it?
No, they were told at a time when they could handle it. Although I should mention a number of cross-dressers and their wives are telling children at a very early age, and we find out that the children accept it. I have granddaughters, several. One is 5, the other is 8, and they've been introduced to it, and they think it's cute, and they giggle, and there's just no problem whatsoever with it.
Well, congratulations on 25 years of marriage. I mean, you know, most people can't make it past 5 years, so cross-dressing has not hurt this relationship any. But Sherry, you have children. What are their ages?
I have a 7-year-old daughter and an 18-month-old boy.
Do they know that Dad wears women's clothes?
They definitely do not know, and I'd never intend to tell them.
So you think it would have a negative effect on them?
I think it would have a very negative effect on them. I guess you had some people that feel like it's a disgusting thing. What I'm really concerned about is, for my children's sake, is that if I were discovered and some of the parents of their friends were to find out, they might feel the same way.
Well, and that's a thing where that's a very real concern and very sensitive for you to be aware with your kids. It's hard enough for kids when mom and dad are accepted and they kind of stay in the background. When there's something significant about mom and dad and they get the snickers and they get ridiculed, then it's not your situation and just your choice, then it affects your children. So in that case, as you look through this dilemma in your life, you want to quit for them and for your wife?
Oh, yes. There's so many reasons to quit. There are just as many to quit as to continue.
Peggy, this is Peggy Rudd, who's written a lot of books on this subject and interviewed a lot of cross-dressers. What are the chances of Sherry being able to quit? Is it a habit? Is it an addiction?
I don't believe it's a habit, and I don't believe it's an addiction. I believe it is inborn.
Well, you say that there are a lot of misconceptions in it, that we just don't get it, what this thing is.
Certainly, there are many misconceptions. The fact that people think they are gay, perverted, mentally ill, or second-rate human beings, all of those untrue. The fact is they are superior.
The fact is they are superior. All right, will you defend that statement when we come back?
I will defend that statement.
Okay, because I bet there'll be some challenges to that. We'll take a break. We'll find out more right after this. Thank you. Police have been getting some very bad publicity lately, what with the O.J. trial and the Rodney King beating. But every day, these men and women put their lives on the line to serve and protect. Are they getting a bad rap, or are they finally getting what they deserve? What do you think about cops under fire? talking about cross-dressing today, and I asked some actors, female impersonators, drag queens from the Queen Mary to come down here today, and that's this row here. Would all of you stand up, please? Because, welcome, I'm glad to have you here, because I think we're confused. What I want to know is, all right, what's the difference between a drag queen, a female impersonator, a cross-dresser, and can you tell the difference when you see them?
Usually. The difference is that we are professional, and we study very hard how to make ourselves theatrically look more like women. These ladies want to become homogenous in society.
Want to be passable as women, is that right? Okay.
Subtly dressed than we are. When we dress for stage, we dress very flamboyantly. We get body.
Oh, yes, I can see that. Hello. So it's a mistake to ever say, or let me ask you, do people mistake the cross-dressers for drag queens?
Those who don't understand, yeah. They do. Those who don't understand, yeah, they do.
I want to make one comment. The audience does not realize how fortunate these people are today to go out onto the streets as they're dressed. Because when I was very young, death, sudden death. So give them a round of applause, I would like to ask, because they have the guts to go out and do it.
You are all so talented and so beautiful. That's what gets me about these. So beautiful. I wish I could do the makeup. And in fact, you know, we've got somebody backstage right now working on a male heterosexual member of our audience who's never worn women's clothes. Can you imagine how he's feeling now? We'll get into that in just a minute. Peggy, you saw him earlier. How's he looking? Looking good? Gorgeous. All right, Peggy, you said, would you stand with me? You said that the cross-dressers are superior. Okay, now what do you mean?
I mean they have integrated the total of humanity. They have balanced the masculine side of their being with their feminine side. They have learned to express the better qualities of masculinity and the better qualities of femininity. This is the goal. I'm not saying that all cross-dressers have reached their level, but that is certainly what we strive for.
But you say that they can't just give it up like an addiction. Why do you believe it's inborn?
I have talked to too many people who have tried desperately to give this up. And the ramifications are alcoholism, drugs, attempted suicide, very, very terrible things. And the record I have seen that in time for giving this up is 20 years. And when this person came out, he came out gangbusters. You know, he's all over the place now.
Thank you very much, Peggy. I got to break away for a second, but when we come back, as I said to these ladies, we're going to meet this woman. Look backstage. This woman is known to many as the beauty consultant to the cross-dressers. Now, she is back there working with someone from our audience, because the men who do this, as we've said, want and need for the transformation from male to female to be believable. So things like how to sit, how to gesture, how to walk become very important. So again, this heterosexual male member of our audience is going through a transformation. We just thought you might want to see what he looks like before and after. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back to see if he can pass as a lady after this. Barbara Cochran-Barry reveals an eerie irony between O.J. Simpson and the real Johnny Cochran, exclusively next Leeza. For most cross-dressers, their appearance is a way for them to externalize the femininity that they're feeling inside, and for that reason, they take dressing very seriously. Joan Bray, who's joined us, helps them do that, and this is the result of our makeover backstage. Before, this is Loretta now. Loretta, stand up. Stand up, Loretta. Can we get a wide shot here of Loretta? Take a little turn. Wide shot of Loretta. Okay. Now, Loretta, have a seat while we explain what went on here. You're looking fine.
Thank you.
Now, the before picture is what will blow you away. Here's the picture. Look at this. This is amazing. There are, you know, it does become important, the gesturing and the sitting and all like that. How did you accomplish this, and what is significant?
Well, the feminine deportment is very significant because the way you walk, the way you carry yourself, the movements of your hands, it's feminine. And if you don't have all that pulled together, then you immediately lose it.
I'm just surprised that there's a person like you out there who makes a living consulting cross-dressers. This must be going on a lot more than we know.
Well, I don't know the statistics, but I've heard it's like 1 out of every 10 men to some extent.
Wow, look at the people at your office, folks. I'm telling you, somebody's wearing ladies' underwear.
There's a community of cross-dressers out there. Trust me, they are doctors, they are lawyers, they are policemen, they're in the military. They're ordinary people, just like all of you.
And very high intelligence.
And I have clients in every profession, every walk of life.
Yes.
I'd like to point
And
out...
do most of them have it in the closet? Do they do it?
Most of them have to keep it in the closet because of their careers.
Well, Loretta, you are out now, and let me tell you, you did a fine job. I would say that Loretta's passable as a lady. We'll be back in a minute. Hang with us, everybody. If you'd like to be our studio guest while you're in the Los Angeles area, just give a call to 213-520-2708 for free tickets.
Go ahead.
I think it's just great that you are being yourself and like you're not trying to be someone else.
Thank you. Yes.
Do any of you have sons? And if so, how do you address this with them? Because boys identify so much with their fathers.
We have 2 older sons, and one is he's in his middle 20s now, and we had the other one's a little older, but yes, and they are aware, and yes, it was shocking, but now they're very supportive, very.
Well, actually, you said you look pretty good.
Oh, Dad, you're looking hot.
Well, my question was, when you go out in public, you know, and they ask you a question, do you, like a drive-in or something, they ask you something, you say, I want goobers, or do you want, or do you use a different voice, you know, because that makes,
I don't change my voice. I may lower the level of it, but I don't consciously change the pitch or anything. Neither do I.
Because Loretta needs help with that. Loretta. Yes, go ahead.
Lisa, I'm a grandmother, and I'd like to know if they're going to do this in front of their grandchildren.
We have grandchildren. We have 4 grandchildren.
Grandchildren?
Yes.
And what do they think
And first of all, we are not alone. We consider ourselves a unit, a family unit. And everything we do, we start as a family and talk. And yes, we've talked about it and explained, and it can be done with love and compassion.
Do you share clothes and accessories?
Yes, we do.
We do.
You do?
Yeah.
Sure do.
We can't.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of a difference here, huh?
Yeah, we do share jewelry, even though she has a more flamboyant taste.
Are you a little bit more conservative? I can see that right away. We'll be right back.
Hotel accommodations for the Leeza Show are furnished by the beautiful DoubleTree Marina Beach Hotel, Marina Del Rey's only 4-diamond hotel, the DoubleTree Marina Beach Hotel.
You had a question? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I had a question for the wives. Have you guys ever fantasized being with another woman?
No.
No.
No
he's
lesbian tendencies.
always my husband, no matter what he wears.
Absolutely not.
I'm sorry.
No
I'd just like to point out that I'm as happy with my masculine side as I am with my feminine side.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to these questions as we say goodbye, but I just want to first of all thank all of you today because I think this was brave for you to do, and thanks for all of your questions. We'll see you folks next time. Thanks for watching. Here we go. Yeah.
The wives were saying earlier that it's not a feminine thing and not a homosexual thing, but why have they changed their names, and why do you refer to them sometimes as she?
Well, we go out in public, so if I called him by his real birth-given name, people would stare. I mean, he wants to pass.
Yeah, we don't want to draw attention to ourselves.
Right.
We just want
And
to be assimilated.
He wants to be as much of a woman as possible out in public. We go out as 2 women, so of course I'm going to call him Heather. He doesn't look like...
I know you hold hands, but do you kiss in public, and are you physically affectionate?
Not really.
No.
And I couldn't, there is no possible way I could, this is a woman when we're out, so I couldn't very well use a male name.
I think if this is what you guys want to do, it's great.